Since he joined Mercedes, Valtteri Bottas has had a lot of criticism from the F1 community, with many people questioning whether he was worthy of that second Mercedes seat. In this video, I'm going to assess his career up till now and answer the question, how good is Valtteri Bottas? It's safe to say Bottas had an amazing junior career. The season for me, which highlighted his immense talents and capabilities, was his 2008 campaign in Eurocup Formula Renault 2.0. That year, he faced off against Daniel Ricciardo, both as rookies, for the title. Ultimately, it was Bottas who came out on top by 3 points. Despite the fact Ricciardo got more wins, 6-5, it was Bottas who won the championship, notching up more pole positions at the same time. I think back then that really showed his underlying raw pace, especially in qualifying, just like this year. He managed to outqualify Ricciardo, and just like he occasionally outqualifies Lewis. And the races were quite evenly matched all the way through the year. Most people can recall or may have seen their battle in Silverstone, where it was Ricciardo who stole the victory on the last lap. I sort of feel their individual qualities are the same as they were back then. Bottas being the one-lap specialist, maybe a bit more inconsistent and conservative in the races, whereas Daniel was the guy who would steal positions and victories off others and really grab those opportunities with both hands. In that sense, both drivers seem similar to what they are perceived as today. On the whole, that season showed the caliber Bottas has and is capable of. He was able to beat a really talented and highly rated driver in Danny Rick, so I guess he's capable of doing the same in F1. Maybe he already is driving at that level, but it's masked by the superiority of his teammate, 7-time champion Hamilton. After winning the 2011 GP3 Series title with Lotus ART, he decided to take a year out of racing in 2012, opting instead to take part in 15 free practice sessions in 2012 for Williams, where he was a test and reserve driver from 2010 to 2012. This prepared him for his Grand Prix debut with the team in 2013, alongside our friend Pastor Maldonado. He took a while to get up to speed, that's for sure. They were quite evenly matched in the first half of the season, but in the second half of the year, Bottas really stamped his authority and stretched his legs against the Venezuelan. Even though he finished 17th on 4 points, he still managed to beat Maldonado in the standings and managed to overturn a relatively even qualifying score in the first half of the year to being over half a second faster in the second half of the season on a median pace, which is quite astonishing. The next 3 years were quite decisive in his career up till now. Williams welcomed Felipe Massa to the team, a seasoned veteran coming from Ferrari after getting beaten quite badly by Alonso, but it was a clean slate, new rules, new engines, everything. They had equal status as well, something which can't be said for Massa's time at Ferrari. So everything was even. You could get a direct comparison for how good Bottas actually was at the time. It turns out he was pretty good. Bottas performed very well against Massa over 3 years, outscoring the Brazilian by 99 points. The race head-to-head was quite close, but that is to be expected because of Bottas's lack of experience relative to his counterparts. Besides, over one lap, Bottas was far superior, outqualifying the Brazilian 40-18 by a median gap of around 2 to 2.5 tenths. With this in mind, this is better than what Alonso managed against Massa in their final year together in 2013, and also bigger than what Raikkonen and Vettel's gap was over 4 years at Ferrari. We must not forget, Massa did outqualify Raikkonen during their time together as teammates from 2007 to 2009. So Bottas was very quick, that's for sure. And he also had some great standout performances, taking 9 podiums for Williams, and on occasion was able to fight with the likes of Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes, and put in some stellar drives. All he needed now was an opportunity to show what he was capable of in a top team. All of a sudden, this opportunity presented itself after YouTube sensation and green tech entrepreneur Nico Rosberg called it quits in 2016. Bottas was the man for Mercedes. He was managed by Toto Wolff, who was the team principal of Mercedes. It was a no-brainer to get Valtteri in the car, especially given Hülkenberg had just signed a deal with Renault, and Wehrlein wasn't really the man, I don't think, for Mercedes at the time. Bottas now had the chance to show he had what it took to fight against the best driver on the grid, Lewis Hamilton. He'd shown, like I said before, he could mix it with those guys occasionally at Williams, getting podiums, almost getting a few wins here and there, arguably. But now it was the ultimate test. Hamilton, Mercedes, fighting for the championship. How's he going to do? His 2017 wasn't out of this world. It wasn't bad either by any means. He still got his first pole position, got his first victory, racked up multiple podiums, and helped Mercedes win their Constructors' Championship against Ferrari. I think up till now, Bottas, statistically at least in the championship table, this is Bottas's best season at Mercedes, being only 50 odd points behind Lewis. However, I think he still had a big pace deficit to Hamilton. It was 3.5 tenths in qualifying, and the races, on many occasions, he'd be 30 seconds behind Lewis in 5th, 4th place, and Lewis would be winning the race comfortably. He had a lot of work to do. He needed to get more integrated with the team, work on his weaknesses, and come back stronger in 2018. The problem is he did not do this. Yes, he was closer in pace in 2018, as you would expect, being in his second year in the team, but the results didn't back that up. Although Mercedes won the championship in 2018, both the constructor and driver double, Bottas finished behind Verstappen and Raikkonen and Vettel, and who knows, had things gone differently, Ferrari could have easily toppled them. Yeah, he got a win stolen from him in Russia and Baku, and he was unlucky many times, but at the end of the day, he didn't quite have the pace to match the Ferraris and Hamilton on most occasions. He had to have a rethink over the winter, regroup, and come back stronger in 2019 because at the time, and still today, his job and career were on the line with Ocon in the wings. Over the winter, there were many changes he made and Mercedes made to help this process. Riccardo Mosconi, Hamilton's old performance engineer, was brought in to be Valtteri's race engineer for 2019. Bottas stated Hamilton's strengths are in low-speed corners, normally under braking and the entry phase, where he can sometimes drive a bit of the different setup for the car that is easier for the rear tyres. Bottas, to my surprise, went away, chipped away at it, and came back much stronger. His opening to 2019 was remarkable, winning by over 20 seconds in Melbourne, took the paddock by shock. His infamous quote as well. It was Bottas 2.0, the porridge boss. It was all working, all coming together nicely. Even at one stage got 3 poles in a row as well. I think one moment for me which showed what he's really capable of, was the qualifying lap in Spain. 6/10 clear of the field of Hamilton. That was remarkable. The problem was consistency. He didn't win that race. He got a poor start, as he's done many times, and threw away the win. It was an easy victory. It's hard to pass in Spain. That should have been his win. In the F1000, he got another pole position and didn't win the race. Another poor start. This has been a recurring theme for him over the past few years at Mercedes. He's really failed to convert his poles into victories. I think only 5 or 6 wins. He's only converted 5 or 6 poles into wins out of all the poles he has at Mercedes, which isn't a great thing, especially when Lewis Hamilton is your teammate and you're driving for the biggest team, best team in F1 right now, and everyone is watching you. So yeah, 2019 sort of went downhill after Spain, Baku time of year. And from then on, Hamilton really asserted his authority once again, romping away to the driver's title, leaving Bottas behind. Although Bottas, again, he showed up in Japan and USA with great drives, the consistency wasn't there, and it was Hamilton who dominated the rest of the championship. So it was back to square one. Could Bottas regroup again over 2019's winter and bring a closer challenge to Lewis? He had to do that. And, well, COVID happened, so the wait was extended. But again, won the opening race. He got pole position this time round and won quite comfortably. Hamilton was all over the place behind him. As you can tell, he didn't continue his form. He failed to outqualify Hamilton for numerous races in a row. He was over a second and a half down in the next qualifying in Styria and was over 20 seconds behind in numerous races. Once the title was wrapped up, though, or close to being wrapped up, he didn't help his cause. A horrific performance in Turkey, some bad luck in Bahrain, and Sakir just went to shit. It just didn't come together for him once again, and now he's been left in this position, and this time I feel it's his last chance. He needs to show that he is the man. He needs to be much closer to Hamilton this year than he's ever been. How good is Bottas? To answer the question, I think he's bloody good. He's shown time and time again what he's capable of as a driver. And having Hamilton as a teammate doesn't quite help at all, as anyone knows. He's a very fast driver on his day, one of the fastest over one lap. For me, he's top 5 over one lap. I don't think many drivers can match him. Only Lewis, Max and Charles are ahead of him in that sense. But he does have some weaknesses, quite a few weaknesses. His wet weather driving has been all over the place at Mercedes. Numerous wet weather catastrophes from him. He sort of, when he's not on pole position, he sort of loses his mojo, settles for second too often. And again, as we all know, the tyres is where Hamilton has his biggest margin right now over Bottas. We saw in Nürburgring and Portimao, for instance, the tyres grained up so quickly on Valtteri's car and nothing happened on Lewis's car. Lewis overtook him both times, and in Portimao, 30 seconds. Valtteri cannot afford to have these types of errors. His bad luck didn't help, so fingers crossed for him. He has a much smoother, cleaner season. And hopefully this year we will see the best of Valtteri Bottas. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment below. How do you rate Valtteri Bottas?